Okay.
We're live now, Richard.
I see that. I see the little red button says live.
Yes. So just a heads up, everybody. I'm here on with Richard Stanboli from the Fresh and Lean Progressive Yamaha Racing Team.
That's me.
And it's still a mouthful.
Well, at least took out one word. Performance.
What?
Well, it was the Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha team before, so we lost one word.
Right. Yeah, but it's still kind of a mouthful, dude. Like, I
mean, it's multiple syllables. I know you have a hard time with that.
Greg White is the king of that, right?
So you should have been in the Marines instead of the Army, because you could have gone all the time. One syllable words.
Wow, dude. That's rough.
Yes, it is.
Rough, dude. Yeah, so you know what? You came off that weekend at COTA, and some would say it's a tough weekend. So, let's hear how to go for you, man.
It was a weekend. Sometimes you have your good ones, sometimes you have your bad ones. That's racing. We still got a couple thirds in the fourth. So not exactly our normal track record, but we'll be back to it shortly.
It's been a while since your team has left the racetrack without a win, right? I mean,
2019?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, 2019 is the last year that you guys left the track without a win till now. And but you had some troubles there. I mean, it looked like business as usual Q1. I mean, it looked like Jake was pretty dominant Q1, and then
I mean, it took him 2 laps to go 2:08.4.
Right.
So yeah, we were on the right track. Things went a little sideways. There's a lot of explanations to that, and if we want to go into detail of the mechanics of it, we can bring that up.
Well, I mean,
but it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you were prepared. I mean, I know that the team, you took the team testing and you tried different stuff and you got a lot of data leading up to the event. So, like, just the giant elephant in the room, like, what the fuck happened, dude?
Okay, so we did 2 days of testing on those engine packages, and everything was all good. And we went to the racetrack, and the second session, or last session, I should say, the engines expired. So it looks like that we reached the envelope of the fuel, or there's like 3 different things that we can point to. One is the potential of the fuel we exceeded, or the fuel batch we got that day was not the same as what we tested. So we were testing it, let's say we're buying fuel in California from BP, and then we get fuel in Texas, and it may not be exactly the same. So I think we're too close to the edge of what that fuel can deliver. And yeah, so we had a little piston overheating, and then when that happens, you get a little burn past the ring, and then you get oil. So the bikes can keep running, but obviously they're making smoke, so you can't keep going around the racetrack like that.
Right.
So yeah, so that's basically what happened in that qualifying session, unfortunately, and our riders got to sit out the qualifying section.
Right. And fortunately for Jake, like, he had gone so fast in Q1, he still ended up on pole.
Yeah, shame on those other guys, I guess, for allowing him to be on pole in basically a couple of laps, and then our Cameron being fourth, even though he didn't get much time on the bike either prior to race 1. But yeah, so then we took put in the backup plan. We took some power out of the engines and went on to race.
Right on. And so, okay, so warm-up lap happens. Like, what? I mean, I assume you guys swapped engines on Jake's bike, but then he does the sighting lap, and then he does the warm-up lap and just pulls straight off. It was shocking to see that.
Yeah, he had a misfire in the bike and something electronic, and we traced it down to a connector that connects the crank sensor on the engine to the ECU. So somehow one of the connectors got a bad terminal in it, maybe during the swap out, Maybe it was vibration. There was a lot of what ifs, or possibilities. But yeah, so it was an intermittent connection at the crank sensor, and when that happens, the ECU doesn't know where the engine is, so it just shuts it off momentarily and tries to restart it. So you get on-off sensation like it's a rev limiter. So instead of trying to continue, and it only happened in 1 RPM range. So instead of trying to continue, especially that long straightaway, he figured it was just smarter to pull off.
So I've got a comment already. Unicornium Race Lines is the guy's name, I guess.
No.
So we're talking about the physical properties of fuel, i.e. viscosity, more than the octane number?
Probably the burn speed. It's related to octane number. Most of the fuels, like they're around the 88, and they average out to like 93 between Ron and the 101 they do on the other end of it. So yeah, you got to be real careful as to how much pressure you put on that fuel. That's what we think it is. The only difference between the engines we had this year versus last year was a new camshaft profile. So basically same compression ratios, same piston cylinder head configuration, same porting, same everything, same squish distances, same exact engines. And for whatever reason, they didn't want to go down that straightaway at the end, so, but it was all the crazy part of it is we put 2 days of testing on it, no problems. Look at the pistons, look at the scope the cylinders, and then we do the same thing on Friday morning, same thing on the second session, and we roll out for the third session, Q2, and both of them expired in 2 laps. Like, wow, was it the fuel we just poured in out of that one jug, or what was it? Are we that close to the edge? So to play it safe, we're gonna have to go back and reconfigure some of our stuff.
Wow. So just a heads up, that Unicornium person is actually Chloe, that data girl that I introduced you to last.
Oh, yeah. She seems like a nice person.
Okay, and then let's see. Have Cam and Jake been sharing their setup so far?
Yeah, we do kind of an individual debrief, and then we go into a little bit of a group debrief.
Yeah.
Not too more about the tires than we do about specific things because what you don't want to do when you have 2 riders is you don't want to put any of the negatives that one rider has into the other rider's head.
Right.
I'm saying, like, he may feel something the other rider doesn't, and it's negligible for him, but then he starts thinking about it. Not that Jake's all that influenced, in his head. I think he's pretty strong mentally.
Right.
But you don't want the guys to focus too much on all the little nuances of riding a motorcycle versus the big picture.
So one thing for sure that that during what happened over the weekend is that you kind of definitely put to bed that there's 2 different motorcycles, right?
Yeah, there's never been 2 different.
Oh yeah, there's only the good. Jake is the only one that gets the good one, and the other one's just like whatever's left over. Right?
Yeah, that's right. We have a bunch of stuff left over because we have 2 runs: good parts and leftover parts.
Right.
Yeah.
I was impressed with Cam too. I mean, he was putting together some pretty fast lap times, but I was wondering, like, was it just the lack of track time or setup time because it seemed like he kind of tapered off lap time towards the second half of the race. He just kind of gradually went.
I think he was right there behind Jake for the most part.
No, I mean
he made a run at the end.
No, race one.
Yeah,
he kind of faded back and he was just kind of chilling there.
This is where I think Petrucci's knowledge of that racetrack came in very handy for him, because he first started. I remember first seeing him at COTA during the very first MotoGP there, when we had that CRT bike, and he was racing CRT also.
Yeah.
And I think that was 2013. So he's been to that racetrack every year since 2013. So he has more laps around that place than anybody. And so he made a choice to go to the hardest front tire straight away because of the chatter. And that track produces a lot of chatter because of the character of the corners and the amount of grip it has. And so Cameron, because of track time and lack of time to try all the different tire combinations, he was on the middle compound tire, and it just had a lot of grip and slip, so causing a bunch of chatter. And so as the tire went from new to medium, he started getting a lot more chatter, so he had to back his pace down or crash. If you watch a Moto2 race, there was a lot of front end crashes.
Yeah,
a ton of front end crashes. So again, the character of the track. And then make matters worse, we couldn't use the softer tire that we normally would use, that our motorcycle really likes, because the track was so abrasive. They had repaved a bunch of sections. So the abrasion on the track was chewing up the softs that would fix some of the turning. But we didn't have enough time to get the riders comfortable with the hards to figure out how to ride the hard without falling over. So if that makes sense to you. So we're kind of stuck in that medium window, and we had quite a bit of chatter and lack of grip. So we had almost the worst of both worlds. We didn't have the grip. Like at least with a softer tire, you'd have some grip. And so you could ride the bike a little bit different, have some grip, like more on the front brakes and quicker to the throttle to keep that chatter window really close, really tight. But with that 2662 front, didn't have that feeling to keep the load on the front. And then when you open the throttle slightly to turn the corner, you would encourage a bunch of chatter until you were full throttle again. And then there's a lot of sweeping corners, so you can't be like stop and go. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what he's feeling in race one. He had just a bunch of chatter, and then he started backing up his corner entry to use more of the rear tire, and then he ended up cooking the rear tire.
That's what.
So yeah, pretty impressed with him that he can analyze what the bike is doing mid-race and try to adjust his tactics. Yeah. There's a lot of riders that we've worked with in the past, like last year, and that don't know how to adjust their riding style. They have one riding style. Did I say last year? I meant last year.
Never a pulled punch ever.
No.
Oh my goodness. You know what? And in race two, he was kind of, Jake was kind of hanging back there, just kind of settling in, and he finally got by, and it looked like Jake was going to make a charge. It looked like Jake was coming. I was like, oh shit, Matt's in trouble. And then, well,
let's put it in perspective. Jake had almost no time on the motorcycle. He had basically the 2 sessions, right? Yeah. And that was it. He had 2 sessions, and a couple of laps in the third session, and then he missed the warm up and race 1 because of the electrical problem, and there was no warm up going into race 2. All it was an extended sighting lap. So he did 2 laps, and he hadn't ridden yet the 2662 front.
Oh,
so he had to go into race 2 with absolutely no idea what the grip was going to be like. So he spent a good part of the first part of the race, like the first few laps, trying to get a feel for how to ride the motorcycle, with that combination of stuff.
Yeah.
And to say the least, we didn't have a lot of time to make the chassis optimum for that combination either.
Right.
So we were definitely on our back foot this particular weekend because of the amount of time we had on the racetrack. So, and it was a MotoGP weekend, so you're lacking warm-ups, and you're lacking this, and you're lacking track time, and you're getting like 11 laps at a time. So it's not a whole lot.
I kind of joked with Jake over the text messages Saturday night, and I was like, dude, are you cursed on race 1? And he kind of jokingly said that next year he's just going to sit out the first race and drink beers.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
I was like, he's a good sport about it,
Yeah, no, he's got a really good attitude, unlike the guy we had last year.
Yeah, we're in this year now, so never mind. Right?
Yeah, he doesn't get too wound up about too much stuff. He was a little frustrated that that he said the bike felt foreign to him between the tires, and we dumbed down the engine so much to make sure they were going to finish the race, that we overreacted, right? And which anyone would do. It's like, hey, you know, if you have a meltdown, you're like, man, we got to do something drastic because we got to finish. And we probably took 20 horsepower out of our bikes. And but you know what? With all that said, the trap speeds were still pretty decent. I think in the race we were close to 190, where the Ducatis went like 193, maybe.
190.
Yeah, and 195. I don't know. I was looking at the. I don't think he did that in race 2 because there was a headwind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the race 2 was a little bit less than that. I was looking at the sheet from Motor America, which gives you your best overall, but instead of whatever flashes up on the screen every now and then. And so I don't think we were that far considering how much we tuned down. So I'm pretty optimistic about Atlanta.
Well, the rest of the season, right? I mean, this track, just the character of this track is unlike every other racetrack that we go to, right?
You know, I'm not putting it past Petrucci to learn these tracks really, really fast.
Right. He's fresh off a MotoGP bike. Right.
So he should technically be smashing all of us at every single round. So, but you know, we'll see how that actually turns out. You know, if I was outside looking in, you know, I'd be like, the MotoGP guy should beat the Moto America guy, right?
Well, that's I mean, Gil Ramos, I'm going to give him credit for this. He's the one that came up with the term for it. But the couch potato crew chiefs, I've got some comments that we could talk about later with couch potato.
Yeah, it's like armchair quarterbacks.
Sort of.
Yeah. The experts behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
Exactly. The guys that never turned a wrench in their life or ever been to a racetrack on this end of it.
Yes.
Yeah, they can comment all they want.
Those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same guys that scream at the monitor, you idiot, you should have ran left. You know?
Yeah.
They're the same guys that scream at monitors while they spill their beer on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys, right?
They get chicken wings all over their wing sauce all over their couch.
Yeah, and their shirt.
Yeah. And with
they probably
need help to
get
fingers.
Yeah. They need help to walk to the fridge to grab another beer. Those guys, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, the world's full of those guys.
Yes.
The non-doers.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do have some more comments.
The voyeurs.
JH wants to know, how closely do you guys work with the Westby team? Is it the third bike or is it their own thing?
It's a mixture of both. You know, they've had some difficulties last year that we sorted with them, and they had some difficulties this year too, with some shifting and things like that we helped them sort out. But you know, they build their own engines and they do most of their own thing. They have all of our components on their bikes, so it's easy for us to share information. And if they ever get stuck, you know, they know they can come to us and we'll try to help them out.
Yeah, Matt's weekend was pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, I told you before this race that Matt's pretty strong. He was strong at all the tests we did. That's, I think, one of the things that helped them too is they shared testing with us this winter.
Yeah.
You know, at Buttonwillow Raceway, and Buttonwillow has a lot of different characteristics. One of them, it's fairly bumpy, so it helps you get a feel for what a bumpy track is like on the front end. Along with, it has a number of different S's and things of that nature, and sweepers, and so it lends itself to a lot of the racetracks we actually race at. You know, unlike Chuck Wallow, which is kind of like one character, you know, sweeping corners, which is okay if you're going to race like I don't know where, but it's okay if you're going to race at some sweeping corners type track. But a lot of our tracks are more like, I think, Buttonwillow, why we go there and test, and plus it's close to the shop. And so anyway, the Westby guys came out and tested with us, I think, 3 times there. So, and then they had Jake they could pace against and push. And some of their issues they had last year popped up, so we're able to help them directly and see some of their stuff they had going on. So yeah, they did a really good job, the whole team. As Jake would say, hats off to the team.
Yeah. That's Jake's thing, isn't it? Hats off to.
Hats off, yeah. I think we tease him enough. And we made 007 the official nickname for Cameron too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, 007.
Yeah, I know exactly.
You brought it up.
I'm the one that kind of came up with it, right?
Yeah, you kind of coined it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I've got Joseph Novella. He's got a couple questions real quick. He says, do you feel comfortable so far with the Ducati top end speed, or is it too early to tell? And then it seemed like the Duck could just pull out and pass it on the straight at any time.
Earlier in the weekend, Cameron had a chance to pair up with him, and the Duck didn't have anything on us. I think if we were able to maintain what we had, then we would have been fine. But we had to dumb down our bike. So we'll see how the weekends go. We'll be probably on a different package when we get to Road America. So we'll see how Road America plays out. Right now, we're just going to concentrate on getting to Road Atlanta. It's not this weekend, it's next weekend, so the following weekend. And that also has a long straightaway. We'll see how the Ducati does there. But I think that COTA is very well suited for the Ducati. And Yamahas traditionally have struggled there. I didn't think we would struggle there, but we had a little bit of a setback. So we did end up struggling, but I don't think it was because of the fact that we had a Yamaha or because of speed. I think it was just we got caught out with something, one of three different things that we could put our finger on. And so we'll get past that and we'll be ready for the next race.
Well, the reality is, like pre-season, we talked about the teams that are competition, and you already mentioned that the Ducati was you already knew it was going to be a strong team. Petrucci's a good rider, a great rider, and you knew that they were going to be a threat. And now we've seen them for a weekend. So, thoughts after seeing him in action?
Well, he's on a high right now because he's won two. I've also seen Petrucci on last year, dead last.
Yeah.
So he could get discouraged as well,
Right.
But right now he's on a mental high, and they have a lot of support from Italy. And so I think there's a lot of red shirts there, more than I can count.
Well, I didn't see Lynn Jarvis in your pit on TV. So
yeah, he was back there helping us with the data. You didn't see him? You know why? Because he wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, Ducati definitely is and I'm kind of glad because we need some competition. I mean, honestly, what do we win, like
all of them,
30 some odd races in 2 years?
Yeah.
So I think it'll make it more fun for everyone if we get a chance to go out there and race. And I think Ducati's bringing it, and Matt's bringing it. So the running order was kind of what I thought it was going to be going into it. I think we talked about that, with the exception of I thought Jake would win. And I think if things didn't go sideways for us on Q2 or then I think that we'd have given that Ducati a run for its money, even with the dumbed down engine we had. Because mid race, Jake was starting to catch those two guys, right?
Right.
Yeah, he closed the gap pretty good, but then at the end, he just ran out of tires and momentum.
So Chloe's asking if you have an engine dyno at the shop.
No, we have one at Yamaha, but we don't really use it. We have a chassis dyno here.
Right. I knew the answer to that, but I have to ask it.
Yeah, we can do long run. We can do
right?
long simulations with the chassis dyno if we need to. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about, let's continue talking about the competition now that you've seen everybody. We kind of talked at length about the Ducati because it was so damn fast and it won both races. And we talked about Matt a little bit. He's definitely come along, and they've definitely got that bike going, and Matt's really motivated. But how about the BMWs, man? Like PJ and Hector were right there too, man. Like they were pretty impressive to me.
I think so, for having very little time on those bikes. I thought, and again, I thought that's kind of the way the running order was going to be. Nothing away from the M4 guys, but yeah, they were pretty fast. PJ broke, I guess, in race 2, right? And then what happened to Hector? I didn't see because I was too busy watching our guys.
Yeah, I think he finished behind
Escalante.
Did he? No, I think he was ahead of Escalante, wasn't he? I don't know.
I thought it was Escalante, and then maybe he was.
Yeah.
I don't remember the running order back there.
Their bikes are so dark. Like, they needed to throw some color on those things.
Which bikes?
The BMWs.
BMWs, yeah.
They're all black, dude. All of them.
Are they all black?
All of them. There's a million of them now.
I did see the puff of smoke come out of the BMW's tailpipe, so I was kind of curious what happened to that thing, because If
Same
it's
fuel?
a similar type, if it's a similar type failure, you know, like when we ran the Panta, the World Superbike fuel, or the Elf, we don't see the same type of things that we do here. So I'm wondering, you know, I mean, definitely, I don't want to point the fingers at BP or anything like that, but you know, fuel prices have been going through the roof, and the racing fuel hasn't really increased that much. I was trying to get an answer as to when the racing fuel is going to go up to match what the fuel prices are going like on the street side, you know. So I'm just wondering if some of the chemicals are not the high-end chemicals. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a real easy to conserve a bit on the cost side with racing fuels.
So Chloe says that that you're missing out by not having a engine dyno. And then Carol Chan says that you won't mind if Chloe paid for it. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And
I don't have a big diesel engine. Tell Chloe that.
Yeah.
She's like a diesel engineer or something, if I remember right.
I think she works for Harley now.
Does she? Yeah, I mean, there's one like I said, there's one at Yamaha Cypress available to us, but it takes a lot of time, and that's the negative. You know, like you can only devote so much time to it. We're not Ducati factory. You know, we can't have 3 full-time guys running dynos.
I'm going to take this one. I'm going to add to what you're just saying. Most people don't realize, you know, a lot of people call you factory Yamaha, the race team. And the reality is most people don't know that those bikes that Cam and Jake are racing are built by yourself, Walker, and
Joseph a little bit. And Lee comes down the shop when he's getting ready to drive the truck cross country for a day or two and puts chassis together.
It's basically
all the engineering's done with
and build those bikes. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like most people don't realize that 3 dudes in Huntington Beach build those bikes and work on them all the time.
No, we get some support from Yamaha. You know, we get some questions answered if we're asked the questions. You know, from the European guys. If we have a question, you get stuck on something, but their combinations over there are a little bit different than ours, especially on the fuel side.
Yeah.
And even though it's the same specification fuel, it's supposed to be the FIM regulations, it doesn't seem to burn exactly the same. So it seems like we're headed towards the Sunoco side of how things used to go.
Oh.
Where we had to be super conservative. Yeah. It seems that way to me, but I'm not 100% on that yet. So I can't really say unless we went and took a sample and lab tested it and all that kind of stuff.
So Kent Kitasugu, I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I remember Kent. How's it going, Kent?
Yeah, so Hector apparently finished 7th in race 2.
Okay.
That Kent. And then Chloe says she's on Harley's now, and she said her cycle is simulation, engine dyno, then chassis dyno, then field test. Well, it must be great to have like a whole team like that. And she said racing tractors takes a lot.
Yeah, she seems like a nice person. She can come over here and run the engine dyno. I'll gladly send her over to Yamaha to run the engine dyno.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, in her spare time. Yeah.
In my spare time.
Yeah.
I got to fly out to Atlanta on Tuesday.
So Kento wants to know what's the R1's biggest weakness chassis wise.
I can't think of one. You know, I think where we got caught out this last weekend was we're not. The bike mainly runs that 129 front tire, and we would need a little more track time to make that 2662 work better. Right. But we could run either of those tires, and we never run the 7455. So Yamaha is really strong. I mean, acceleration is really strong. Grip, we don't really have much rear grip issues. Turning, I think we got the turning really good. If I had to say one thing, maybe the bike's a little tall, but maybe that helps the turning, you know?
Right.
So it might give up a little bit on brakes, but we don't seem to really lack on brakes either. So I would, and as far as bump compliance, you know, we get the bumpier tracks, we seem to soak them up a little better. I can't think of very many things. The Yamaha's always been maybe not the most powerful bike, but chassis-wise, it's really strong.
Wow. So yeah, so just to add to Chloe again, she says that she's always impressed how tuners can develop an engine on a chassis dyno. And then she uses Jake's hats off.
Hats off, yeah. Well, there are a lot of tricks to using a chassis dyno. And at the end, it's just load versus torque and horsepower and stuff.
Right. So there was a couple of places on, just watching, it looked like, especially closer towards the end of the race, but it looked like Cam was struggling getting the thing stopped. Like he ran wide, and like all of a sudden there was he was up on the guy and then he ran wide. And
up on Jake?
Jake too.
Up on who?
I can't remember. Maybe it was up on Jake. But
he was just behind Jake the whole time, and he led, and then he got passed by. Then he got passed by Petrucci and Matt.
Yeah, Matt did the same thing.
Yeah, and then he got passed by Jake, and then he hung out behind Jake the whole time. There was a couple times where he thought he was going to pass Jake, and then he chickened out.
Okay.
I would say he played it safe. Yeah. Not knocked down both of them, you know what I'm saying?
But, is that like running wide there, when he was on the brakes super hard and then run wide and then open up the gap between him and the rider he was following? Matt did it too. Is it something about that front tire, or is it?
He didn't mention it, the debrief. I think maybe just an error, just got a little hot.
Okay.
And had to let up on the front brake a little bit, so he didn't tuck the front. But definitely watching the Moto2 race, I thought we'd have a lot more front end crashers, and we didn't. But the pace in Moto2 is probably a lot closer, a lot hotter than we have.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't the only one that was like kind of heartbroken to see that Cam beat Bobia crashed out like on the last.
Oh, I know, that's
like, oh.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was a spoiler.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure everyone knows by now.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. I heard I didn't hear directly from him, but I heard he had some false neutrals going into first gear, I think, off the back straightaway. That's why he lost a bunch of time. Happened twice, like two laps in a row or one lap between or something like that. He lost a bunch of time, and then he tried to maintain and I guess he thought the guy behind him was a lot closer than he was in the last lap and pushed.
Yeah.
And fell down. Sucks.
That does suck. Okay, so you want to go to the couch potato crew chiefs?
Sure, why not? So let her fly. Hey, you know what? Here's another story for you.
Go ahead.
To put ice, like a cherry on top. At the hotel, somebody stole the catalytic converter out of a rental car. I guess it's the thing, stealing catalytic converters.
That's
here I am, because the schedule was like, we're up at the gates open for setup at 6:30, and we're up like 7 something or 8 a.m. So if you do the math backwards, okay, you got to be at the track 6:30. We're half hour away, or we're at the track at 6. So half hour away is 5:30. So if you want to get up and go get a coffee or something like that, take a shower, pretty much have to get up at 4. You know what I mean? So we're up at 4, and coming from California, that's really 2 a.m. So I wake up at 4, working my way downstairs at 4:30. I hear this motorcycle, what sounds like an uncorked motorcycle start up. I'm like, what the hell is that at 4:30 a.m.? I go, somebody's really motivated to get the racetrack. I pull outside, there's Fernando in the rental, revving her up. Uncorked rental.
Oh, man.
They cut it right. They cut both sides. Luckily, they didn't cut where the exhaust hanger was, or else that thing would have been dragging the ground all the way to the racetrack.
Oh, my God. What did the rental car place say when you guys drove in with it?
I'm not going to comment on how we turned it in. Just say we all ran away real fast.
Oh, man. That's amazing. That is amazing.
There was a muffler shop down the street, so use your imagination.
Oh my God. Okay, so this guy AC says, is there anything you could do to help minimize the false neutrals? And then also Ken Hill commented that he said he can confirm that Cam Bobia is false neutrals. So yeah.
Is there anything you can do? We worked with Matt a lot on that. One of the things that some people think is the is correct, is to shorten the throw and do all that stuff. We actually go the other way. We use a linkage that's very similar to stock, you know, as far as ratios go. So we're in the softest setting on our foot controls, which is the stock setting. And then we work on encouraging the rider to follow up. The lever position is really important. So you need to keep that, if you're pulling up on it, which a lot of guys do for the downshift, you know, the reverse shift, GP shift, they call it. If you're doing that, it's good to have the pedal as low as possible. Because when you're in a tuck, you're forward and you can upshift very easily. But when you're pushing back on the bike, your foot, you want to be able to get under it and follow through. And for shorter guys that are maybe up on the gas tank, they may not be able to twist their ankle far enough to get a full follow through.
Yeah.
So A, we keep the lever fairly soft. B, we have the lever in the proper position, and C, we work on the auto blip. You know, we make sure that the auto blip going in the first gear is big enough without a push, you know, to make sure that thing goes in there. And yes, on the chassis dyno, we can actually test blipping. Tell Chloe to try that on the engine dyno.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
You have to have a pretty trick engine dyno. You can do it.
Yeah, with the lever inside, you know,
no,
the computer.
More sophisticated controls than that. But, okay. Yeah, big cable through the little glass window.
Exactly.
Most of the time they steady state it, you know, but they're pretty sophisticated. You can run them through a whole sequence of tests, you know.
So talking about transmissions, this is another Joseph Novella. You know, talking about transmissions, do you custom fab trans gears and modify from stock trans ratios? You know,
all we do is tumble the gears. That's it. And the shafts, just to, and that helps us with the break-in process. So basically those things are broken in straight away.
You know, I was actually talking to
the Yamaha transmission is actually really, really strong, because we have misshifts. Let's say a guy says, oh, it's misshifting, this and that. We fix the lever position and some of the blip, things like that. No more problems. And a lot of other bikes, if you have a couple of misshifts, the gears are wrecked.
Right.
You know, and then I think it'll keep misshifting all the time.
The Honda, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think yeah, the Cali, the earlier Cali was before the cassette transmission was really bad. And then they fixed the transmission and made the cassette, and then we had no more transmission problems. Like, great, we got this cassette transmission, now we don't even have to take it out anymore.
I was talking to that John McCowan dude from Colorado.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was today. It all blends together, man. But he was talking about getting the transmission that the neutral's on the bottom.
Yeah. I guess they do make a shift drum. I guess they make a shift drum, and I think it's legal in World Superbike, that puts neutral all the way to the bottom. So you can yeah, all it is just the slots are a little bit different. I was looking into that after you mentioned it. But it's not allowed in our series, so we never even think about it. Which would be, it's kind of lame in a way. I mean, that's just a simple thing. You could buy once for each engine, and you know, but whatever.
Yeah, just adds up. Chloe did comment that she needs a Yamaha transmission in the Road Glide. So
yes, I guess they have transmission problems. Tell her she probably signed a confidentiality agreement. She shouldn't be talking that way.
That's funny. Maddie Testa says, speaking of transmissions, any way to get a 21 R1 with the kit ECU to launch like a Superbike? Looks like you guys just dumped the clutch. So gnarly.
I think it's got a lot to do with how our chassis are. You know, our chassis are fairly long, and then we don't have standard rake. We have rake inserts that we make here at the shop. And of course, we have our own swing arms too. So our bikes are quite a bit longer than stock. And so, like anything that's long, like a drag bike, you can launch it a lot harder. But yes, it appears like you just dumped the clutch. But I mean, in essence, you're not totally dumping the clutch.
You took that video of Cam at this doing a practice start at Button Willow, and you know he goes right, and then he just
It's not
That's
quite
what it
like
looks
that.
like.
There is a little bit of feeding to it. There, he is still holding on to it. You got to get real close. it does slip for a little bit, but yeah, and also the launch control is such that it interfaces the wheelie control. So the wheelie and the launch, we can also tell it how much force to apply to the motorcycle, and it ramps up. So the ECU is working the throttle, how much power you're putting to the ground, and cut from the wheelie control all at once. So it's pretty sophisticated, but the stock bike's also got a fairly decent launch system. You just have to go practice. And when you do practice the launches, make sure you do a lap afterwards. Because if you do them back to back to back, you'll cook your clutch. We'll go out, do a launch, go do a lap, come back in, let it cool down, and then go again. You get a lot of launches out of a bike that way. At least the Yamaha clutches are really, really sturdy.
So, like comments are coming in. It's funny.
No worries.
Christopher Mccreary says, since Attack has plans to do a wild card on World Superbike, how do the Attack bikes compare to the World Superbike R1, horsepower-wise, chassis-wise, and the electronics are supposed to be the same, right?
Well, I can tell you this much. I was able to see some of their information, and we are very comparable as far as power goes. Maybe not anymore, but we were very comparable until Saturday morning. But yeah, we're very comparable. We would need a gearbox. If we were to go there, we'd probably try to get ourselves some gearboxes because they're allowed a gearbox. And the only other difference between our bikes and theirs, they have a little better brake caliper than we do. For some strange reason, Brembo won't sell us the brake calipers, even though they're on the FIM list as available to Moto America and all FIM competitors. But Brembo won't sell us the same calipers those guys have. So shame on Brembo for that. But nonetheless, our brake calipers are still pretty good. They're just one generation down. And what else is different? Their RPMs are actually a little less than ours. So they tune their engines with a little more mid-range to take advantage of a little taller gearing. That makes any sense. I think they're a couple hundred RPMs less than we are.
Okay. Hope that answers Chris's question.
Yeah, other than that, they're exactly the same.
John Reed wants to know, he says that you mentioned that Ducati is providing a lot of factory help. Are there any other factories that are providing extensive support to their teams? P.S. Thanks for these discussions. They're fantastic. Appreciate that, buddy. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I don't know what Suzuki's doing for Ulrich's. I'm sure they're getting some support there. I don't know what Alpha, who's got factory connection, I assume, with BMW, is doing for that new team. What's it called again? Titlers or something like that? Titlers? No, Titlers, I think it is.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly.
The black bikes, that's,
Yeah, I mean, it's good that they're there. I mean, I really applaud them for putting in the effort and showing up, and they have a couple of good riders. I think it's just a matter of time. I think the Ducati thing is a perfect storm for Petrucci at a track he really, really knows well. And they did an extensive amount of testing on Dunlops too. So I think all of that was a good call on their part, and they put their best foot forward, and they didn't have mechanicals, they didn't crash anything, and so they had a great weekend.
And Carol Chan says it seems like Yamaha, MotoGP, World Superbike, Moto America, all their weak link is the engine department.
Don't know. I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, that's not what Johnny Ray was saying last year.
Right.
And Top Rack was motor and biome. So I don't know if that answers. I didn't get a chance to watch World Superbike race. I know the Ducati has been a very strong competitor in MotoGP for a number of years now, as far as top speed goes. But they're not super strong at every racetrack. So, I don't know the answer to that. I guess we'll find out at Road Atlanta and Road America.
Is Ducati building a bike with a stock transmission this year?
I would hope so. But knowing how hungry Motor America is to have more factory involvement, I doubt they'll ever look at it.
Yeah, somebody
Just being straight up.
Scroll through, give the guy a name, but somebody asked if there was a teardown. Maybe he retracted the comment.
There was no teardowns.
No teardowns?
No, they haven't really been tearing down the Superbikes because there's the power is not an issue. It's like everyone's got enough power to destroy the rear tire. It's all about how to apply the power and the chassis and all those things. So everywhere we go, like, you know, the top speeds have always been good for every bike there. Like there's enough there for the guy to take advantage of. Yeah. You know, we're cutting so much power out of ours, accelerating, and that's one of the things too that caught us out, was that we didn't have enough time to work on the torque delivery for the horsepower we applied mechanically. So at the end, you know, Jake couldn't spin the tire off the corner and stand it up and accelerate the way he was used to. And that would have been easy. That would have been a touch of the keyboard to give more power. But obviously we didn't have a session to do it in.
So I'm like, the questions are coming in rapid fire like a machine gun.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short.
It's awesome. Let's see. When you guys start up with a Morelli kit, do you develop control strategy from scratch, or do you start from a base model?
You know, YME supplies the kit and supplies the base map, which is really good. And usually it's based on something that they've developed. Like the most recent software, I think, came with Yark 24 endurance stuff. Then before that, it was off the World Superbikes from Phillip Island, was the base map. And then it has strategies in there. And then it has the first generation had an Excel tool, which had a map builder built into it, and it would build all the torque maps and the character of the torque maps based on, I'm gonna just wrap it here, some inflection points in the you know, the touch of the throttle, the slope of the acceleration and the clipping, kind of like what we went over with the kit box, you know, has a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they have a map builder like that that'll build the maps in the back end. And so you have all the torque for the engines all modeled already. I mean, it's just a great system to just throw on and go. You know, and you just have to have some knowledge of what you're doing. It doesn't have to, you don't have to be an engineer working all the math on the back end like you would with maybe a Motec system if you're building it from scratch.
Wow.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
They can hit replay.
Yeah, rewind it back and play it again. Let's see. Kenneth Sugu wants to know, what was your main direction with the latest Attack R1 swing arm besides longer length?
The new one that we're building?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say.
Okay. How about the last one?
We worked on the length was one factor. We worked on the flex, the rigidity. The model that we use is an asymmetrical swing arm. So the left side is the zero, and the right side is where all the field comes in. It's very similar to what a lot of the World Superbike arms are. It's different than what Suter does. They have a symmetrical swing arm like with the Suter, like what Westby's using. But we do it a little bit different, and same with World Superbike. I think MotoGP has a very similar setup like that. And then of course there's the appropriate linkage and all the stuff that goes with it, and the progression. And when you get an arm that's longer, you know, there is a point of no return where the bike stops turning and does other weird stuff, loses grip maybe, and things of that nature. But we haven't got there yet. So
Bobby Levitt, aka Ricky Bobby, he's asking like kind of an insulting question to me, but I will answer it anyway. I will take this.
What was it? What was the question? Why are you an idiot?
Exactly. No, he said, how much slower was I at Buttonwillow than Jake? And I'm going to take that. I'm going to be like, you know what? A full rodeo. Right? 8 seconds. That's about it, right? Yeah, a full rodeo. Yeah, but on the Superbike,
I don't think that's an insulting question. You know,
No, it's just, it's like taking a shot.
I would turn that around with, I mean, you get around a racetrack pretty good, I'd say, you know,
Yeah.
faster than I do, because I don't never ride. But whenever I ride with you, you're faster than I am. And so that just shows you how fast Jake is, as
Yeah, I
well
mean,
as Cameron. It's not that you're slow, it's just those guys are ridiculously fast.
yeah, Jake's not in his 40s and he's not fat and he has something that I'll never have. It's called talent. Like
Talent.
right?
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
It's not really an insulting question. It's just
Yeah.
that that's how fast those guys are.
It's just being funny, jackasses.
Yeah. I mean, all these guys ask these questions. They can hop on a racetrack and, you know, they can get a reality check.
So speaking of reality checks, let's go into the couch potato crew chiefs, yeah?
All right, sure, let's do it. Fire the engine builder.
And what'd you say?
I said, fire the engine builder.
Yes, yeah, that's the first one. Steve Carter from he's a commenter on Moto America's Facebook page on one of the videos they posted up, and he said, "Who got fired from the Fresh and Lean team?" And then there was some back and forth, and the guy says, "Yes, I'm talking the mechanical I'm talking about. Both Jake and Cam had mechanicals during the second qualifying round. Jake had the same mechanical during warm-up lap of the race. Unacceptable. Someone at Yamaha should be fired."
Please fire me. Can I fire myself? I could use a couple days off.
Yeah.
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 I mean, the beach is right. The beach is like 5 minutes from here. I haven't been there, I think, ever.
Never. Anybody that knows Richard knows that he's pretty much lives at the shop. Actually, less so the last couple years because he's got a kid now. But right.
He never sees me either.
Yeah, that sucks. But
I did bring him home a box of French fries last night, so you have to ask him for it.
there you go.
What can I say?
Yeah. So you're not gonna fire yourself. Like that's
Well, unfortunately, it'd be easy to just point to something that was assembled wrong, but it wasn't.
yeah.
That'd be way easier to fix than what the problem that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're
When there's a
saying-
chemistry, there's a chemistry experiment and a war going on inside those combustion chambers, and
so what
sometimes
you're
it's very
saying,
hard to predict what's going to happen.
Steve Carter from Facebook is not a super duper genius.
Yeah,
And
it might be. He obviously knows like everything that happened. Same mechanical in pit lane.
And then a lot of comments on the series. I'm just gonna like sum them all up and
Okay.
But basically a lot of comments, like a former painter of yours, David Tovar says, "What else did we expect from a GP winner in a C group level race org?"
I think David should start wearing the mask when he paints. David is all right. He just could never, ever put a stripe down symmetrical. I mean, no matter what he striped, it was all messed up.
Wow.
Yeah, so you should go back to, instead of criticizing the riders that we have that can finish within a couple seconds, a few seconds of a MotoGP winner at his home track, I would call it, because he's been there since 2013. I would say that's the closest to being a home track of anything Petrucci's going to ride.
Oh my
So
God.
if our guys, our C-level guys, can finish within a few seconds of a MotoGP guy with a whole Ducati factory behind him, I guess our guys aren't so bad. We should go back to learning how to stripe a body set
Well, there you go.
and put on a good coat of clear, because all this shit faded.
Jeez.
Our guy, by the way, Matt, is way better painted.
Yes.
Like Matt on a bad day is like Petrucci, and Tovar is a C-level rider, painter.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with that. Anybody that's
Without a doubt.
R1 knows.
Yeah, color zone, man. I mean, Matt just is, he blows every other painter away. I mean, it's just what he does.
I call him the glitter man for a reason.
Yeah, he does a good job.
Yeah, dude. He's awesome.
I mean, he paints our tanks, you can't feel the stripe. You know, I think it's so nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll use a comparison. I mean, you remember Danny Danger, what we used to call him? And Danny had this paint job with the coarse metal flake on it, and when you wiped it with a rag, there would be like little strings from the rag stuck to the bodywork. And a lot of people that have seen the bodywork on my R1, you know, they're shocked that they can't feel the glitter underneath, even though it's so in your face. So
how many bodybuilders did you have to take to put your body set on?
what'd you say?
How many bodybuilders did it take to put your body set on?
All of them.
All of them. No, I mean that's a lot of clear to cover up all that flake. But yeah, I mean that's determination to make a good body set. You know, it's really easy just to shoot a real thin layer of clear and go, you're done. It's shiny. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. More shit, dude. Like more commentary coming in. Let's see. Did you guys sell your Daytona Superbikes yet, or Super Sport bikes yet?
I think 2 of them are sold. Yeah, I think we have a spare.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a spare, which was Jake's primary at one point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then let's see. The way Jake rides is he doesn't care if he falls. When Dustin rides, he's clinical safe. Dustin is better than 99%. Thanks, Carol Chan.
But you know, when Dustin falls, he breaks.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then Dustin is unsafe.
Yeah, and then wears like a thoracical brace for 2 months.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
And then his dirty ass bike is sitting in our shop.
Like,
and then your dirty ass bike is sitting in our shop, making the bike shop dirty.
Oh god damn it. I'm sorry for spilling whatever it was.
Yes. Coolant.
There's a reason why you for years you called me what was it?
Dust off.
Dust off or dust off, because I dumped a bunch of dirt in your shop.
No, because you're always dusting yourself off, or you need a helicopter to come rescue you.
I didn't need a helicopter. Ambulance, yes. I haven't taken.
That's where the word dust off comes. Just a play on words, man. Get it right.
All right. Let's see. How does Richard handle most of the Morelli software massaging? Has it been updated by Morelli this year?
Yes. No. Well, we update some of it, you know.
Yeah.
And yes, Morelli is works with Yamaha Europe, who's the head of all of that, and they do the software releases, and then we have a certain amount of latitude to be able to tweak some stuff on our side. So yes and no.
Here's actually somebody chimed in with a CRA question. They want to know how will CRA measure the exhaust decibels at tech inspection for Laguna Seca race weekend? You know what? I'm just gonna say they won't. That's a Laguna Seca thing, and they have a little sound shack in between turn 5 and 6, right before the bridge on rider's right. The decibel limit's 105, which most race bikes will be okay. Mine probably won't. So I'm got Yoshimura helping me make something else to make it work. But yeah, dude, you're I guess you find out when you get there. There's like no real accurate way to test that in the pits. Hope that answers the question best I can. Let's see. Chris Mccreary says he's nothing more than a rolling chicane at club races, so of course he knows everything. He saw Kenny Roberts in Attack's pit, so fire him.
Kenny Roberts built the engines. Fire him. Yeah, well, he was in our pit. He was helping us with data, I think. Him and Lynn Jarvis.
Yeah.
Those guys, Chapati's got nothing on those guys.
Yeah, Austin Lefevre says just duck in turn 5.
Duck in turn 5?
Yeah, for the sound, like, you know.
Oh, yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that sound comes from the intake.
Yeah.
You know, even if you muffle it, if you come through there with the throttle plates open, it's loud.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Ken Itsugu says he's got to leave now and he likes the show and he wishes you luck.
I wish Kent luck, man. Dude's a great guy.
He is. I think I don't know if he's still the guy at Flashtune.
No, he's not.
He was the guy at Flashtune for like a minute, right?
He was the editor of what do you call it?
The sport writer.
Sport writer, yeah, for the longest time.
Yeah,
he was a very accomplished racer as well.
Yeah, he was.
He's not slow like you. Oh,
God damn it.
He even rode our bikes for a magazine article a couple times.
You know what? One of my bikes, the very first TrackDaz Attack R1, like a million years, like what, 12 years ago? Kent is the one that greenlit that thing to be in the magazine. So it was on the cover, I think, and then it had like a 4-page article.
I'm pretty sure Kent rode our bike when Tom Kipp was racing it. I'm pretty sure that was Kent trying to go 200 miles an hour on it.
Yeah.
On a street behind Willow Springs. We had the highway patrol shutting off on both sides. I'm pretty sure that was Kent. It was a while ago.
And apparently he ran the Isle of Man too.
Oh yeah. He told me about it. His 250 broke. I think it was on 250, and he stopped and had beer at a pub.
There you go.
Because I guess if your bike breaks, they just invite you in and fill you with beer.
Yeah, it's Isle of Man. Like,
yeah. What else are they gonna do?
Right.
Walk back to the pits.
Yeah,
all 20 miles,
whatever it is. Yeah. So you know what? I do have one more couch potato crew chief guy, but this guy was actually commenting on things that you said in the video, like for what, you know, when Moto America stuck a camera in your face and asked you what happened. He says, I don't know for certain, but that sounded like, quote, we ran it lean and blew a hole in the piston. The guy's name's Sean Kitchen.
No, there was no hole in the piston.
There you go.
Yeah, and it wasn't lean. It was actually very rich.
Really?
Not very, very rich, but it was pretty close to where it needs to be and slightly on the rich side. Because we start the sessions always on the safe side. But no, it wasn't anybody behind the keyboard. It was, hate to put it on the fuel, but it's starting to look that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to put it on the fuel though. I mean, I like the guys at VP, but
you know, you did end the weekend with some positives. You know, got a couple of podiums, right? Came away with some points. Like, what did you learn from this weekend that will take, beside from changing the fuel or whatever it is?
What did I learn? I learned losing sucks. I learned that, and I remembered how losing was before these last couple of years, because we lost a lot. You know, we're on the podium a lot, but you didn't always win them all, you know? And I'm not an emotional guy to start with, so I'm not like the Italians, always like hugging and crying and kissing and all that stuff. It's not me.
No,
I just stare at them. I just like, okay, we lost. Okay, we won. You know, just losing sucks. So we're gonna have to work harder to go and win, you know? We'll get past Atlanta, then we have a few weeks off, and we'll come back doubly strong at VIR and Road America.
So what's the plan for between now and the truck leaves what, Monday?
The truck's in Atlanta already.
Oh, the truck's already there. Oh, so everybody just flies in. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you know, we'll ship a couple engines, some new spec Delta cargo. We'll pick them up on Tuesday, install them, you know, Wednesday. They're having some type of event at Yamaha, Georgia for the employees. So we're going to go set up over there on Wednesday. Cool. And just a side note, there was some Yamaha brass that was there. So it was, you know, Lynn Jarvis didn't come and meet us, but you know, the new president of Yamaha US did. And he seems like a great guy. He's double masters MIT, first American to be Yamaha US president.
Wow.
So yeah, in history. So has to be a pretty smart guy. But you know, I mean, I saw him and his double masters, and I said, I'm not worthy. Basically.
Yeah.
Really nice guy, down to earth, real humble. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Wow, John, more questions coming in. Johnny Shimroska, I think he's out of Arizona, maybe.
Okay.
Marine, I think.
Yeah.
He says, will Attack
Sorry
Performance,
about the Marine joke.
will Attack Performance ever consider doing some endurance race things in the near future with the Yamaha R1?
We did that before. We did some 24-hour races, and we did the R7, not the little R7 they have now, but the original R7.
Yeah.
And we did a 24-hour with that, and I think 200 milers is about the best I would like to do endurance wise. Although I am intrigued by the Suzuki 8-hour.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. How about the Suzuki 8-hour?
I'm intrigued by that, and that'd be kind of a fun one to do. But they neutered it so much from when they used to have the TTF1 bikes. And they're basically like Grand Prix bikes with 4-stroke engines, predecessors to the MotoGP. That's what they used to have. The things that the innovation the Japanese had for Suzuki was just amazing. So now they got a lot of pit stop rules and things like that. But it'd be a fun race to do. I think my goal is I think Jake's riding has come up to the level where I think him at a World Superbike round would be the way to go. That'd be the next challenge. First, we got to beat Petrucci regularly.
Yeah. So I guess the plan is to regroup at Georgia.
So we're not C riders, Tovar style riders for the rest of the season. What an idiot!
That all season.
It just comes to show you, somebody smokes that much pot, he's got no clue what's going on around him. What a moron!
Oh man!
I think he tried to tell me about some stupid wax chemical thing that he was selling a few years back. I'm like, all right, man, I don't want to invest this. Go back to smoking pot, sitting on the couch.
Wow. You know what, man? I think we should end on that note.
The guy's a moron. What can I say? Calling us C-level riders. The guy obviously doesn't know anything. He's just shut up.
C-level series. Also.
Yeah, he's an idiot. What happened to Baz when he went back to World Superbike? He did better there than he did here.
Right.
So World Superbike must be a D-level series.
Wow.
The guy's an idiot. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck at
All right, man.
Atlanta, and hopefully you guys go back and come back with a W or two, or sweep the podium or whatever.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll talk to you after Atlanta.